Hey everyone, thank you for coming. I'm terrified. Yeah, it's being filmed. Isn't that nice? You guys have been to comedy before, yeah? Give us a round of applause if you've never been to live comedy before, actually. Thank fuck for that. The way it works normally is there's like a host, and there's like lights and a gun, but that's a lot of money. I'm going to stand there and I'm going to go up on the stage, Aidan Jones. You guys got to clap, go crazy. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm Aidan Jones. And it'll make the energy go from like this into like, oh, we're at a show, sick, it's a trick, you know? And then we're going to start the show. Sound good? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Aidan Jones! Oh, man. All right. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to tell you a story. So I don't know if some of you guys maybe don't even know what the show is. It's about, I'm half Colombian. So my mum was backpacking in South America when she was 22, came home, found out she was pregnant. That's me. Isn't that pretty good story? Anyone else cocaine babies or? Just me. She fucked up, man. I love my mum, but that's dumb, isn't it? Kind of unprotected sex in Colombia in the late 80s. Whew. Read the news. Do you know what I mean? She's very lucky I'm not AIDS, is what I'm trying to say. I could have killed her. Instead, I just ruined her dreams. Very lucky. She used to get mad at me when I was a kid for doing dumb shit. She's like, Aidan, why do you make these stupid decisions? I was like, what was that? Bareback backpacker? What was that, mate? Calling me dumb. This is why you're dumb right here. 30-year hangover, you fucked up, lady. It's kind of funny to call my mum lady. Anyway. But, yeah, I never met the guy. Fernando is his name. Fernando. The Colombian man who had sex with my mum is named Fernando. Like the ABBA song that was happening while they were doing it. Fernando. If you had to pick a Latin name under pressure, do you know what I mean? That'd be the one. I used to think maybe my mum didn't know who it was. She just saw the colour of my skin when I came out and went, all right, Fernando or Muhammad, I guess. What do we reckon? Is that... Is everyone all right with that one? It's good. There's a few brown people in the audience to like anchor that joke off, you know? For the white people, they're like, is that... Oh, yeah. We're all good. We're all good, man. No, I don't know what it means to be Colombian. I grew up in Adelaide, not a big Colombian community, never met the guy, so it's just like, I don't know what it means to... the closest we had was there was a lot of Greek people in Adelaide when I was growing up. Kind of close to Colombian, just my whole life, Greek dudes coming up to me excited. Bro, what's your ethnicity? Are you Greek, bro? They're like, are you Greek? I'm like, actually, my biological father's from Colombia. They're like, Colombia. So you're Greek? Hey, he's Greek. Jimmy, I told you, re. It's Greek dudes, not all dumb, but the ones who are, fuck, man. They make it obvious, you know? So, yeah, never met the guy. The closest, like, I guess a connection I have to Colombian heritage, my nickname is Taco. Yeah, when I was 15, the first girl I ever kissed thought I looked Mexican. And she was like, taco, taco, taco. Wanted to kiss her, so I was like, okay. Yeah. If you let me kiss you, you can call me whatever you want, honestly. Don't care. And I started introducing myself to people as Taco. For like 10 years, I did that. Because it was just easier than having a conversation when you meet someone. Where are you from? These are normal questions. And eventually that leads to like, I've never met my dad. And people go, oh, and I'm like, get defensive because they're feeling sorry. I'm like, fuck you, you know? And then they're like, oh, are they all like that? And it's bad. So rather than have that weird conversation that felt bad for me, I'd just go, what's up? I'm Taco. Taco. makes it easier than just talk about never met my biological dad. And every now and then, I'll introduce myself as Taco, and someone will go, hey man, that's actually really racist, so maybe just think about that. Which I understand. Like, I get that comes from a good place, but it makes me angry when I hear that. I'm like, you know what, man? I don't fucking care, you know? I've never met my dad. Can I be Taco? Is that okay? Is that all right with you, Stephen? You know? Then they back off. Oh, no, bro, not you. I mean, like, you're not racist, brother. The girl who called you that, she was racist. Like, they're trying to pin it on, the 15-year-old girl. She didn't understand racism. Let's get her. Let's kill her. That was the genesis of racism. Sarah from Scouts, absolutely. It just feels like people point scoring when I'm trying to fucking never met my dad, you know? And I mean, it's just like that was my first kiss. There was more important shit at 15 to me than racism, you know? I was trying to kiss a girl. Very crucial, actually. Maybe Taco's a bad nickname, but a worse nickname, Virgin, all right? So, Taco's fine. I got a dad as well. My mum met my stepdad when I was 2. He raised me. He's my dad. I call him my dad. I love him. And this is who my dad is, right? When I was 10, I asked his name's Derek, right? So I was 10. I was like, "Oi, Dad, did anyone ever call you Des for short?" And he said, "No one that's lived." To a child, he said that. Lunatic, man. When I was 16, I had my first girlfriend. So he sat me down for the chat, and it was... we were out on the porch. Dad used to sit a lot out on the porch with his can of West End Draft, Australia's #1 cooking lager. And I got my first girlfriend. He's like, "All right, mate, first girlfriend, good for you, right? You're probably going to have sex, you guys. That's great. If you're going to have sex, use a condom. Don't fuck up like your mum did, all right? And if you need a condom, they're in the second drawer down, bedside table. Take as many as you want. But if you take the last one, I'll fucking kill you." Because he wanted to teach me about safe sex and sharing as well. You've got to share. Yeah, so when I was like 23, my parents split up, and I said, all right, let's try. I said to Mum, let's try and find this guy, Fernando. You know, I want to verify the story. She found him, it was so quick. I was expecting like a long, I'm going to find my biological father. That sounds like a long process, doesn't it? 6 months, we meet, hug in a field with cameras, you know. 2 days, man, 2 days. Facebook, done. She found him. She found some of it. He plays in a band. He's a musician. He lives in Austria. She found some of his music, this Colombian band that he plays in, and she sent it to me. And she didn't give me any explanation. That was the thing. My mum just like, here's your biological dad. There he is. There, he's a musician. Just, what do you reckon of that? Colombian music. So I'm not thinking this is my biological dad. I'm just thinking, oh, my mum's having a midlife crisis, right? You know, the breakup's tough. She's finding some new rhythms. And the song's called Duerme Negrito. That's the name of the song that she sent me. Duerme Negrito. Anyone speak Spanish? Anyone? Yeah? Can you translate that? Duerme Negrito? No, you can't, or no, you won't? You rule, man. Duerme Negrito is a safe translation. Go to sleep, little black boy. You did real smart there. I had a Spanish guy in my audience. You're on camera as well, so you've done very well there. Audience member cancelled at show. What does she do? She's not allowed to do it anymore, ever. I had a Spanish guy in my audience a few years ago who, like, English second language, doesn't know all the synonyms. I'm like, can you translate that? And he's like, go to sleep, said the N-word. Everyone's like, fuck, what do we do? People are like, I'm out, fuck that. Little black boy, much better translation. Negrito doesn't have the same connotations as the N-word in English, but it's still like a wild title for a song, and my mum sent me that, and after a while, she's like, what do you reckon? I'm like, nah, sorry, mate, not into it. My mum, very funny, as soon as she heard me commit to not liking it, she was like, oh, really? Because that's your biological father. And now I'm like, oh, nah, it's all right. It's good. Like, there's a bit of something's there, you know. Good beat. Duerme Negrito. I got this whole family in Colombia who I spoke to him in 2015 for the first time, and then all these Colombian people added me on Facebook, just like Bus, 20 people with the last name and the big neck, you know, and the same nose as me, just all added me. What's up? We're your family. And I talked to him. I try and practice my Spanish. This one lady, Tatiana Correa, messaged me for my birthday a couple of years ago, all in Spanish. I'm trying to practice. It was very nice. So I formed a reply out of like the words that I kind of know cobbled together. I said, espero que tu año ha estado lleno de felicidad, which means I hope that your year has been full of happiness, right? Año in Spanish means year. Have you got this one already? It's good shit, man. It's a good joke. You guys should learn Spanish. You get this show faster. There's two N's. The Enya with the moustache on the top. I don't have that key on my keyboard. I just got a normal one, so I use that. I'm not copying from Google, whatever. Sent it, checked on Google Translate. Año means year. Ano means anus in Spanish. So I found out after the fact, I said to my cousin, who I've never met before, I hope that your anus has been full of happiness. You know what? I stand by it. Good for her. I hope it has. She seems lovely. She deserves that in her life, I reckon. Good for her. I always thought I was a poor kid, though. Growing up, I went to a public primary school. I went to a private high school. I got a scholarship, actually, for the high school. People had high hopes. And I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, but I was doing shows in the park last week. I'm 30. They were like, why don't you do engineering? I was like, nah, man, the park feels like, love the park, you know? Yeah, I got a scholarship for this school, and it was a half scholarship, and my dad was a welder, right? And he put most of the money into my school fees, so that was like a bit of, you know, my dad never had those opportunities, and I think he was always kind of like reminding me that he didn't have that, and I resented that a lot. Like my dad would sometimes, you know, take me out the front of the house, point at the fucking driveway and go, hey, Aidan, see that? Yeah, that's where my fishing boat would be if you weren't going to Emmanuel College, so... You better work, mate. I was like, maybe if you worked harder in school, you'd already have a boat. That's fucked, isn't it? I was the poor kid at the private school, and rather than, you know, I'm not going to just like, oh, I'm the poor kid. I like took that on as an identity, like, all right, fuck you, I'm the poor kid, you know? And then I left school, and I went out into the world with that same, like, I'm the poor kid, and met kids who grew up real poor, and they were like, you play piano, man. Fuck you. You're not poor. I was like, it was a hand-me-down piano, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, my grandma had it, and, like, I'm trying to sell it. I don't know. Me and my dad used to always fight about that, like that, you know. He would remind me of those things, and I was just an asshole as a kid, so me and my dad would fight, and then I would fight back, like... Every now and then he'd tell me off, and I used to think he treated my little brother differently to me, because my little brother's like 4.5 years younger than me, and Dad would tell me off, and I'm like, you telling me off? You're not going to tell Dan off, huh? Real fair, telling me off, not telling Dan off. My dad's like, yeah, maybe because Dan didn't smash a tram stop with a hammer 12 days before his 18th birthday. I'm like, he's 14, how could he have done that? How could he have possibly done that? My brother's like, I'm 13. I'm like, fuck off, Dan! Shut up! And we would have these fights, you know, me and Dad. And this is our relationship, right? All growing up, me and Dad would fight, and then we wouldn't talk. For like 2 days, we would just pass each other silently in the hall. And then rather than talk about the fight, to end the fight, we would just have a conversation about anything but the fight. And that would signal the end of the fight. 2 days of not talking, and then I'd walk up to my dad and go, oi, Dad, do you like the band Slipknot? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, good band, aren't they? Can I let you in on a little fucking secret. God damn it. I've been doing this show for 2 years, and that joke, right, calls for finish the fight, and then the hand dusting, like, yeah, the fight's done, right? And every fucking time I do this show, I forget to put the mic in the stand, so I end up going like, yeah, that's the, And I'm filming it today, and I was like, yeah, man, remember to put the mic in the stand. I didn't fucking do it, you dumb fucking cunt. And now I feel like I'm having fun. This is sick. Anyway, so that would signal the end of the fight. Sometimes my dad, rather than apologise to me, would like call me out onto the porch, and he'd go, hey, Aidan, come look at this bit of metal that went in my foot today at work. And he'd take his shoe off and take his big woolen sock off, and we'd both just stand there and look at the bottom of my dad's foot and go, oh, yeah, fucking big bit of metal, and not talk about our feelings. That was our relationship. Here's another joke that I might cut this out. I've been really agonising over this joke because, like, I feel like that is just me and my dad's relationship, but I've taken that into other male relationships in my life, and I don't know if it's all men, but like, I feel like men just don't know how to talk to each other. I'll be in an Uber sometimes in the front, and me and the guy not talking, driving along in this kind of silence. Are we going to talk? What are we going to say? And out of that silence, this guy driving the Uber will look at me and point at a woman on the street and go, "Yeah, it's a woman. Check it out." And I know I should say, come on, man, we don't need to talk like that. We're better than that, right? But I'm scared to say that to a man who I just met. So instead I go, yeah, sick. Because I am a feminist until it affects my Uber rating, all right? And then I'm whoever I need to be. I just don't want to walk home in the rain. I'm sorry. Not sure if I want to keep that joke in, to be honest. Not sure. Yeah, I don't want to paint my dad to, like, he's not an asshole. I love my dad. He's a great dude. He taught me a lot about being a man, and he did hug me. Like, I don't want to act like he was just not affectionate. He did, man. My dad hugged me. It was the 12th of October. No, he did hug me a bunch. But even the hugs I remember from dad were always tinged with an element of, like, I'm still a man, like, hug me, but like, like a fucking, oh, I'm gonna get you! Which at the time felt fun, but now looking back, I'm like, maybe that sound was just the sound of my dad pushing through an emotional barrier, to get to the affection. Like, all right, I'm gonna hug like a weightlifter, I'm gonna hug my son now. Mum's there spotting him. Don't worry, Derek, you're all right. Just hug your son. You're okay. Don't hurt yourself. He taught me about fighting. My dad doesn't fight. He's a big guy, hairy man, feels important for fighting. It's just like, the hair's fucking coming at you. He could fight if he wanted to, but he always said to me, if you're ever in a violent situation, don't jump in. People will hurt you. If you can stand there and look kind of intimidating, you won't get messed with, right? That's great advice. If you're my dad, you got his body. I didn't get that because different cum, isn't it? So I'm not a doctor. When my dad stands there and goes, people are like, oh, don't fuck with that guy. When I stand there and go, they're like, shotgun, yes. I got that little fucking Greek kid over there. Stavros, come on, mate. Yeah, but the last fight that we had was in 2019. So I went to Dad and Mum broke up when I was 23, and then Dad's like got a new partner, and he moved out to Kalgoorlie with this lady, Carol. If you've never been to Kalgoorlie, you go. Perth is the most isolated capital city in the world. You go there, drive for another 6 hours into the desert. I don't know why anyone would, but a while ago someone did, and they stopped and they were like, "This is it. Love it. This is the spot." So they found gold there, so it's like a mining town. It's like someone made a dumb decision years ago and made heaps of money off it, and now everyone's trying to copy them to make money. It's like Jackass, you know? That's Kalgoorlie, the municipal equivalent of lighting your mate's balls on fire. And I went there to see my dad and to see his life, and I didn't like it. It's not, you know, I live in Melbourne. I love Melbourne. This is my fucking city, man. I like coffee and pretentious wank, all right? I love it. I love the kind of stuff when people are like, don't you think Melbourne is fucking... Yes, I love that about Melbourne. Yeah. I like the kind of shit you need a bunch of people around with no jobs to support. Like comedy in the park. Love it. All about it, man. And yeah, there's no. It's a nice place. Like, I mean, well, it's not a nice place. I don't want to lie on the special. It's it's in the desert, but the people were lovely. My dad's friends were so welcoming and kind to me, and you know, they all hang out at the bowls club. And then the second last night I was there, my dad had a barbecue, and I put on a show. They like came to watch me do stand up in my dad's backyard. It was really nice. They didn't need to do that, but they did that because they love my dad and they wanted to make his son welcome in their community. And 20 minutes into my set in my dad's backyard, someone as a joke yelled out, called me the N-word in the backyard. Got a big laugh and it felt weird. Felt very strange. I don't want to like... the whole time I've been doing this show and telling this story, I don't want to dwell on this too much because I don't feel like this kind of story defines my whole life. You know, I haven't had that experience really ever before. It felt weird in the moment, but I laughed it off and we moved on. And importantly, I don't want to stand here and pretend like I'm some fucking warrior, you know, and I'm fighting racism and I'm a brave fucking like... I don't care. I don't care that much, you know? And I hated the town, and it'd be so easy for me to just be like, that's why I hated the town, because it was racist. But if I said that and blamed it for that, surely I have a responsibility to try and do something, you know? Am I going to try and do something about racism? Probably not. Am I going to move to Kalgoorlie and start a group where like white people and brown people do like basket weaving, sit side by side, you know, and then they talk and they realise we're not that different after all, are we? We're all dumb enough to live in the fucking desert. No. And I'm like in Kalgoorlie, this community figure for years, and then I'm an old man and the news come and they interview me, the man who ended racism in Kalgoorlie, and I'm there, I haven't had a good coffee in 40 years. Like, I don't want to. I care, but I don't fucking care, you know? And crucially, that's not why I hated Kalgoorlie. I realised later the reason I didn't have a good time in Kalgoorlie is because me and my dad were in a weird moment in our relationship, and it felt weird for me, and I just blamed the place where I was, right? I realised that later. I would have just realised it and moved on, but I do a podcast every Tuesday. It's called Sitting Under a Tree. To the camera. Sitting Under a Tree. I have 54 listeners. Been doing it for 4 years. And that week on the podcast, I was in Kalgoorlie. I was like, fuck Kalgoorlie, this fucking desert, no good coffee, fucking racist town, fuck you. And then the next day I went on the radio in Kalgoorlie, and the guy was like, what do you do other than stand-up? And without thinking, I was like, I do a podcast, actually, and you can listen to it. It's called Sitting Under a Tree. Thank you. And then everyone in Kalgoorlie listened to my podcast, and now I'm not allowed back to Kalgoorlie. Yeah. And my dad was upset, rightly so, I think. And I called him a few weeks later and I said, Dad, I'm really sorry that I said that stuff about your town on my podcast. It's not that, you know, I still kind of mean it, but I shouldn't have said it in public. That's something for you and me to talk about. And I've realised now I've embarrassed you in front of your friends after they were so kind to me. So I just want to apologise for that. And my dad said, that's all right, mate. Anyway, we got a dog. And I went, what kind of dog did you get, man? And we talked about his new dog for about 5 minutes and then hung up. Yeah, I was like, sorted. And then 3 months later, I realised we didn't talk about that at all. And I called him again and I said, Dad, I really think we should talk about this fight that we've been having that we're just not talking about. From the other room, I heard his partner Carol go, Aidan, I knew it. When he hung up, I said, Derek, I don't think that's what he wanted to talk to you about. Yeah. She's smart. Carol's smart. Yeah, we talked about the fight. We talked about the thing in the backyard. We talked about it. I even told my dad that year I was going to go meet Fernando. 2019, I decided I was going to go meet him. And I always felt kind of weird talking to my dad about that because I didn't want him to think I'm trying to cheat on him with other dads, you know. But I'd started talking about it in my stand-up. I'd started telling people I got 2 dads. I think it's funny to say it like that because it sounds like they're gay. And I know my dad would not like that. I told him on the phone, I was like, wait, Dad, I've been telling people I got 2 dads because it sounds like you're gay. And he went, ha, 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 no. I was like, well, it's out there now, mate. I don't know what to tell you. It's on the podcast, so... Yeah, but I decided at the start of 2019 I was going to go and meet Fernando because I'd been having conversations with him here and there over the intervening 4 years, and I'll tell you guys everything now that I knew about this guy going in so that you've got the full context to what I had. So him and my mum were together for 6 months in Colombia in 1990. She was 22, he was 27. They travelled around together. He was in this band, and then she ran out of money, so she came home planning to go back, but she found out she was pregnant when she got back to Adelaide, so she stayed. They spoke on the phone a few times, but after a few months from when I was born, they realised they weren't going to be able to make it happen. He couldn't come over, she couldn't go back, so they decided to just cut communication. Never spoke again. That was 91. In 93, Fernando was still in a band in Colombia. One of his friends was shot and killed in Colombia. It was a violent place. So he fled, left his family. He was the youngest of 10 kids. He left his family and everything he knew, went to Europe, went to Germany, met a lady in Germany. They got together. He had a kid with her, but then he left that family as well. So it's a pattern, a bit of a pattern. Went to Austria, met a lady there, and they are together. They're married. They've been married for about 20 years now. They don't have any kids. They live together in Vienna. About 7 years ago, he wanted to open a restaurant in Vienna, this Colombian restaurant. He had the idea, and he bought the place, but he needed 50,000 more euros to get it up to a level where it was allowed to open, health and safety-wise. And he couldn't get a loan from any banks, so he, out of desperation, took a loan from some dodgy people who turned out to be the Russian mafia. And they came to his restaurant after they loaned him the money. They said, we need our money back plus interest now. They showed him pictures of his wife, pictures of his house. They're like, get our money, roughed him up a bit. And he told me he was at home in the middle of the day, drinking a bottle of wine, desperate, head just buzzing with thoughts, staring at the TV, going, what the fuck am I going to do? In that days, decides, I'm going to rob a bank. Robs a bank, rural Austria, small town, 50,000 euros. He told me he literally put a stocking over his head and he made away with this money in his car, helicopter over the highway. He stopped, he ran out into the forest. They caught him and he gave evidence against the people who were extorting him. So he spent 4 years, only 4 years, in a minimum security prison in Austria, and he's out now. Great, but he's got a criminal record, so he can't get a job, and he's 50 fucking whatever. He's 60, you know? So all he does to get money is he puts on events and plays music for the Colombian community in Vienna. Any questions? Genuinely, any questions? Anyone? That's all right. I don't know what happened to the mafia people. I don't know. I should have looked into that before I went, I reckon. People are like, do you know what's... I'm like, didn't think about it, to be honest. I had a dude in Perth. This is the weirdest question I've had. One guy in Perth was like, oi, did he get to keep the money? What a world to live in that you're going to ask that question. As if you rob a bank and they're like, oi, you've robbed a bank. Don't do that, but well done. So we'll just put that there for you. Keep it till you get it. No, man. So that was what I knew going in, and I decided at the start of 2019, I'm gonna meet this guy. He's got the German kid, Miguel, this is his other son, and I speak with that guy, and he told me Fernando had a heart attack, so I was like, all right, I got to go and meet him just in case I decide to not or put it on, and then he dies, and I don't get to. But I put it in my diary at September 2019, and I was like, all right, it's over there. I'll do it, but it's like a long way away. Like I won't think about it yet. And I just started doing stuff in the year, and the date was approaching. It was like 6 months away, a few months, and it was like a few weeks, and it was like 10 days. And then I was in Amsterdam the night before I was going to fly to Vienna to go and meet Fernando. And I got off stage, and my mate, Dan Muggleton, this comedian, was doing a show with me, was like, hey, man, good luck for tomorrow. And I was like, tomorrow? Oh, fuck, But I'm like, oh, no, I'll think about it tomorrow, right? I'm just going to enjoy tonight, and then I'll think about it tomorrow. So I went to bed, and I woke up, and I was like, breakfast first, I reckon, before we really grapple with this. Have breakfast, and I was like, I'll go to the airport, and I'll think about it at the airport. And I got to the airport, and I got on the plane, and I was shaking and sweating on the plane, genuinely thinking like, what if the plane just crashed and I died? Wouldn't that be such a relief? Man, I just die and I'm dead. But all of my friends are like giving me credit for this thing that they're like, he's so brave. Oh my God, amazing. He like went to meet his, what an amazing feat. Maybe they do a documentary about me, I don't know, maybe, who knows? They interview my mum, like the Prime Minister interviews my mum. And she's like, he was always very funny. And they interview my dad, and he's like, I'm not gay, all right? I'm not gay. I don't know what he said, but I'm not fucking gay. Well, the plane doesn't crash. We land, and I get to the airport, and I'm there. The next thing I'm going to do is walk out the gates and meet my biological father. But first, I got to go get my bags from the carousel. Thank fuck. 20 minutes to sit and contemplate the first bag that comes out of the carousel. I promise you, not the second bag, the first bag. When does that ever happen, the first bag? Normally, you're like there staring through legs for half an hour. I'm like, oh, that's me. Great. Fuck you, Put it on. I walk out the gates, and he's there. Fernando's there waiting for me. He looks so Colombian. He's got like a white button-up shirt, a religious icon around his neck. He's got a sombrero vuelteado. It's like a traditional Colombian hat, black, like zigzags. I'm like, I'm not Taco. This is Taco. If that chick could have seen this guy, fucking, she would have loved it, I reckon. And I walk out, and the first thing, and Miguel's there as well, my half-brother, and the first thing I notice, I walk up to them, both shorter than me. It's the kind of family I can get behind. Love it. I'm like, hug them, shorter than me, sick. And we walk off, and I'm looking for like, nature versus nurture. I know what my dad gave me, but what do I get from Fernando? I'm trying to see myself in this guy to understand who I am. We walk out of the gates and we walk into the car park, and the first thing, he stops in his tracks and he goes, fuck! Like he's just like, fuck! Really abrupt. I was like, oh, is there another kid that he's forgotten in the thing? Or it's like a third son. It's like a Swedish kid or something. He stops, he goes, fuck! And then he grabs his keys out of his pocket and he goes, oh, there they are. That was it. Like, fuck, where's my keys? They're in my pocket. That's the whole thing. So loud and abrupt. And I'm like, you know what? I do that. I'm quite a loud, abrupt person. Is that what it's like hanging out with me? I hate it. Don't like it at all. I was looking for these moments I was there for 2 days, stayed with him and his wife, and you never really get like a moment to explain who you are. It's not a movie, The closest I got was the morning of the second day. I woke up in bed. They had this room there for me, he and his wife in their house, and Fernando made me a coffee. I'm going to move back a bit. I don't want to feel like I was right on top of you there. Aggressive in a tender moment. Fernando made me a coffee, and I'm sitting on the edge of the bed and I'm like sipping this coffee, and he's standing like so close, like 2-ish meters away, and he makes these Colombian instruments. He like makes them himself and he plays them. So he's like pulling them down from the cupboard and showing me like, all right, this is a pan flute, you know, that one. He's got it. He's like, I made that. And I don't really know what to do. Like, I know this is important, but I'm just there sipping my coffee like, good, you know? But he's still going. He's got the hat on, sombrero vuelteado, in the bedroom. Like, I'm not lying. He wears the hat. And he pulls down it's called a gaita. He's like, this is a gaita. I made this. This is a Colombian instrument. And it's like kind of a clarinet shape. It's wooden. It's got a little plastic reed there. And I'm like, you know, woo. And then without saying anything to me, he put the gaita up to his lips and he started playing the gaita, looking at me. As if to say to me, this is who you are. Like, this is what you came to the other side of the world to find out about yourself. And he pulls it away from his lips and he starts singing to me in Spanish. Hey, 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 hey. He's wearing the hat. Hey, hey, hey. This is where you come from. This is your heritage. Hey, hey, hey. And all I could think in this emotionally charged moment was my dad would fucking hate this. My dad's sitting there like, oh, it feels gay, mate. I don't know. It feels gay. I don't know about music. I don't get it. All right. I didn't think about this moment in the show. Actually, normally here I would talk about like, hey, follow me on fucking whatever and come to the other shows. But you're already here. Like, if there was one show that you're going to come to, it's this show. So thank you. Actually, if you're not already, sign up to my mailing list. I've got business cards with a QR code. If you get on my mailing list, don't like. All right, it's serious, dude. Comedy is a long game, all right? Sean Diao, it's a long game, and you got to play. Yeah, no, what a loser. Still doing the special. No, but like I got another special, you know? If you sign up to my mailing list, there's the welcome email has the video of Duerme Negrito, all right? So it's a real video. I want you to see it. And if you're watching this on YouTube, sign up to my mailing list and see the video, because I want it to be like viewed, you know, so that Fernando sees that and he's like, do we need to tour Melbourne? Is that what we got to do? We got a big following, man. Get out there. But I mean, just thank you guys for coming to this, you know, I appreciate it a lot. All right. Okay. So, dude, get back to the show, Aidan. I wanted to talk about, like in the show, I talk a lot about my dad and I like shit on my dad a lot, which is funny because, you know, it's easy to do that and be negative. But I'm at pains to like reiterate that I love my dad and he's a great dude. And I wanted to put something that like, I was trying to think when I was writing this show about good moments that we had when I was a kid. And I think the moments when I felt closest to my dad growing up were when I was in high school. We'd have dinner, me, my mum, my dad and my brother. And then after dinner, we would like go our separate ways. You know, like mum would go read a book and my brother would go play some games on computer. And my dad was out on the porch drinking tins, like smoking cigarettes and fucking staring at the fence, you know. And I would play piano. I love playing piano, and I just have these memories of like summer nights and it's warm and like I've got no shirt on for some reason. I'm playing the piano. And the back room, the piano's here, and then there's like a few meters and the back door's there. My dad's out on the porch. The glass door's open, the screen door's shut. And we're not in the same room, but we're kind of sharing this space together. I know he's out there listening to me, and I'm playing for him. I'm kind of playing piano for my dad, and sometimes I would like work up the courage to sing, you know. I would do like Slipknot covers. They're a good band. And I would finish, when I was done for the night, I'd close the lid of the piano and I'd walk out to the door and look out at my dad, and my dad would look back at me from the dark, and I would say something to him like, "Oi, Dad, do you like The Simpsons?" And he'd go, "Yeah." I'm like, "It's a good show. Undeniably a great show." And that's the difference between my dad and Fernando, is my dad was there for all of those moments in my life, and that he likes The Simpsons. Yes, correct. He was there for all those moments in my life, and Fernando wasn't there. And I'm just writing this show and telling this story. I'm like, I could ask myself forever, who am I? You know, am I white or brown or mixed race or Colombian or Australian, or what the fuck does any of that mean? I could go to Austria and meet a guy that my mum fucked in the 80s and ask him, who am I? And he's like, I don't know, man, but check this out. Like, doesn't mean anything. Because none of that means anything, and it's pointless to try and define yourself by the things that you don't choose. The only things you should define yourself by are the things that you do choose, the stuff that you've done, right? That's the only thing that makes any sense. And I'm going to tell you guys a story now that is more important to me than any of this stuff about race and fucking identity and whatever. It's going to sound silly, but 2.5 years ago, I got punched in the face by a lady on the train. Imagine if that was it. That's the end of the show. I did. Thank you. It was a 7-hour train ride from Canberra down to Melbourne. I'd done a gig at this music festival on the Saturday night just outside of Canberra, and so I'm getting the train back. 3 hours in, Sunday afternoon, there's a lady on the train yelling at the staff. She's had a bad glass of wine, right? She's screaming at them, "This fucking wine is bullshit! $7.50 for that crap!" And already I'm like, that's an interesting person, isn't it? I like that. She's going to yell about a glass of wine. That's interesting, isn't it? Normally, the people who like wine aren't the kind of people who will yell if they have a bad wine. You know? Kind of connoisseurs, a bit more. If they have a bad one, they won't say anything. They'll just smile, thank you, tip, and go home, and the next day interest rates are up 2%. But this lady, different route. She's yelling, fucking $7.50. Lady from the train runs away, right? Good for her, safe. But now, crazy lady, pacing up and down the aisle, just fucking $7.50, fuck you, kicking stuff. Everyone's trying to pretend they're not looking, like asleep, you know. Oh. And there was a lady a few seats down from me, bit older, maybe 60 or so. She looked quite nice, bit of a jacket, jewellery, too nice to be on the train. I was like, what happened, you know? And she stood up to put something in her overhead compartment and locked eyes with the crazy lady across the carriage. Crazy lady goes, "What are you looking at?" And this lady, without missing a beat, looked back and said, "Sit down, you stupid cunt." Oh, yes, man. How does she know that word? And, man, as soon as that happened, everyone woke up, phones out, video. What do we got? And I'm 3 seats away. The lady ran down, grabbed her. "What the fuck did you say to me?" She's like shaking her. It's like that. This is a violent situation, and I'm the closest, and everyone else on the train's looking at me like, yeah? Are you gonna... I'm like, what? This is mean. Like, I've never been in a fight, all right? I don't know. Violence for me is like a threesome. I do fantasize about it, obviously, but I don't know if I've really got like, what it takes, you know? Like inside me, I'm like, where do I put my hands? I don't understand this. There's other people here. I walk over. I'm trying to just, imagine what I'm going to do. I'm like, all right, I'll try and do something. In my head, I'm thinking I'm going to chop her. That's my move. A chop. Because it feels like less aggressive, but it's still like, disable. I played a lot of Street Fighter as a kid, so it's either a chop or a kick, like fucking A and B on the keypad. You know when you're at your mate's place and he's always had a Nintendo and you're just at his house, so you're like, fuck! You guys just like that? You're like, oh! You're dead, cunt. I get over there It all goes away, and my hand's out. I realise I'm just pushing her face away. Good move, but she's got arms. Forgot about her arms, this lady. I got the face. The arms are like, bang, straight in my face. My hands go up. She's hitting me 3, 4, 5. Numbers are going up over my head, you know. She's scoring points. I'm scoring no points. I don't know. How many points is this? Any points for that? As a manoeuvre? Yeah, people have said to me, man, that's good. Good for you, Aidan. Good for you because you didn't hit a woman. I wish that was the reason I didn't hit her. I was so scared, man. I don't know if it's right to hit anyone. I don't think that's a good thing to do, to hit someone. But what I know now is when someone's punching you in the face, feminism, not important, actually. Takes her back. So I was just thinking, if she grabs me, my hair's going to smell like cigarettes. So... The police got her at Wagga Wagga station, and they took her away. They were interviewing me and the other lady, the older lady. They're like, we want to get an idea of what happened before the fight. If you remember any kind of moments in the lead up, just leading up to the fight. With this like notebook ready. I'm like, oh, lady jumps in. I just asked her to sit down. I'm like, tell him what you said. Tell him. It was so good. I love you. People, other passengers from the train were coming up to me, checking in. Are you okay, mate? I'm sorry that happened to you. That was awful. I'm so sorry. I'm like, did it really look that bad? Fuck. I thought I did all right, man. Get her back or go again for pride, you know? One lady was like, would you like a tea? I was like, I would love a free tea. For no money. So... this big guy came into the carriage about half an hour after we set back off. Big dude, right? Tall man, big beard, broad shoulders. I saw him walk in. He was working for the train company. Little legs. I saw that. Kind of top heavy, you know? Still dignified. It's like if a chicken was in the army. And he got down in front of me and he goes, mate, I wasn't there for the fight, but I heard what happened, and I just want to say thank you on behalf of everyone for standing up and doing the right thing. It's good to know that we got good people trying to help each other out and protect each other on this train. And then he looked in my eyes and he shook my hand and he said, good man. That's me. I'm trying to not be trite. It felt incredible. It felt so good to be recognised for that, you know? Better than anything any dad has ever said to me in my life. It was just this guy going like, you did the right thing. And that's who I want to be. And as he walked off, all I could think, I was filled with like pride and relief. Because now that he's said that to me, there's no way that he's ever going to find out that I didn't pay for my ticket to get on this train. It is, man. You're not who you are. You're what you've done, aren't you? And I saved $63. Thank you guys very much. Yeah, that was good. Thank you guys very much for coming to the special. I think I leave while you're still clapping. I think that's what happens. So I'm going to do that. Thank you guys again.
We putting on a show, trying to catch a vibe. We do this